I think some less motivated lifters, some less, just, I don't like to say the word discipline as much. It doesn't, like, it's not my thing to, like, I don't think about myself and think, oh, I got all this discipline. Like, it's just not a word I resonate with. But I can definitely understand the logic of having something get in the way of working out. I mean, guess what happened this week? Everybody's in school. A pretty large demographic of people in gyms. Honestly, I'd say, at least lately, it's got to be 50-50 of 18-year-olds and above and 18-year-olds and below. The gym is going more than mainstream in the younger age demographic brackets, which is sweet. That's what I want to see. More memberships, more gyms, fancier machines. And by fancier, I don't mean more complicated. I just mean cooler. Like, the more the merrier. There's really no other phrase to describe it than that. But school started. So now, instead of, like summertime being, you basically got free range, like even if you had like when I was a kid, this is before I was doing really working out much yet. I was still just doing like gymnastics and stuff. Actually, was I? This might have been like a little bit of an overlap time period. Before I was really working out, I worked at the Rock Wall at my local YMCA. But it was like 4-hour shifts, like every couple of days. It was like nothing. That was just during the summertime, and then kind of sporadically throughout like different months. But you're pretty much going from all the time in the world. It's pretty easy to get motivated to work out. You've got a huge chunk of time to pull from, But now that school has started up, and still lifting at the same time, like 5, 4 o'clock, whatever, some of these gyms are a little more sparse, right? Everybody's getting, they got new shit to do. And sometimes it's not like an actual correlation kind of thing of like, kids are back, you're back in school and now you're going to skip the gym. Because a lot of these guys, if you've got a school sport, very different, and that's its own topic to get into. But as kind of just a blatant statement, I'd say probably don't quit your high school sport to work out more. But getting back to the, to that, it's like when people start to get a little bit more of a full plate, things kind of get pushed off the edges, because we all need a certain amount of downtime, right? We all need a certain amount of like just being able to chill and do nothing. We're not here to freaking be on grinding the entire day, right? That's not the point, and that is definitely not the point, But when if you've got a certain chunk of responsibilities, where now instead of like you got this whole open window, grow lifting, whenever. It's like I got from 4 to 6. No, it's already 4:15. I got legs today. It's already 4:30. Screw it. Right. That's classic. Oh man, it's you guys are all hanging out tonight. I was gonna go work out. Screw it. Screw chest today. Come on, I'm coming with you. Like little things like that. So I certainly see I understand the logic. Like I would never look at somebody skip a lift, skip their cardio, go off diet, and think, and like be flabbergasted, like, oh, how could you do this? Like, no, it's not a lack of understanding, but it's I certainly can't connect with it because it's just a value system thing, and that's something that you really can't get around, no matter how strict you try to be or how boxing you try to make your routine. At the end of the day, you're just going to get led by whatever your value system really puts an emphasis on. If you don't really value trying to get significant gains and make in the gym progress, then the gym's not going to take precedent over anything else that you could be doing. So that's why I love talking about every kind of different angle about the working out that I can, because I'm almost just trying to freaking preach the benefits. Somebody who doesn't really care about tracking their calories, if you worked out hard, even like just 5 days a week, you could eat pretty much a little bit looser, you can throw some junk food in there and it wouldn't hit you as hard because you're at least going to use it for recovery for that activity. Like there's a reason why you're going to look at a kid who's eating a bunch of just total junk trash or like a bunch of sweets or whatever, and we're going to say, oh, he's got a high metabolism. Well, for one, it's not just because they're growing. That's a pretty big energy expenditure right there. But for anybody that really works out, dude, there is an angle of kind of being able to burn it off, and I'm not going to try to list off every benefit of working out in like 3 seconds, but they're there, so for me, if I put it down on paper in my mind, okay, what's more important to me right now? Getting a chest pump and sticking to my diet, or chilling all day and playing League of Legends, or insert your game of choice, right? I'm sure everyone has something that they've dumped a significant amount of time into for no real reward, and that's not a problem. It's not a problem to do stuff where you're just chilling out, but if you're not doing much where you're kind of progressing in a long-term sort of fashion, then that's where, you could take two guys where one of them, on his weekend, he spent the entire day just doing nothing, playing games in his room. But if that guy went to the gym and worked out like he normally does, you're going to look at him very differently than the other guy who just sat in his room all day and did nothing, right? But didn't have that extra, angle of something. And isn't that kind of wild? Just 1 hour of activity could completely change your perception of how someone spent like a full day of free time. It's like, dude, what did you do yesterday? Oh, dude, I just played games on my computer all day. But then I had a crazy leg day afterward. It was nuts. I squatted 3 plates for 10. The first time ever. Like, that's the highlight. So even though it's just a smaller chunk of time out of the entire day, it's still something that's not really done, at least not by the majority, to the point where it can almost counteract that other 9 or however many hours of just kind of straight up chilling, and I think there's a good angle to working smart in that way, because if you think about it, what's 2 hours a day? It's less than 10%, and that 10% can be incredibly valuable if you spend it doing something that you like and that you can actually kind of work for or work towards in kind of a greater sort of scale, But apart from that, looking at it in like a fancy pants kind of way, I think we all know we just feel good after a good lift.